get Trump out, get Trump out, get Trump out. If you vote, that's going to happen on the first day. So now what? Trump out, now what? What? What do we get in the first 100 days? Where's our fucking bailout? Where's our fucking bailout? Where's the bailout?
Yo, what up? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another video. And I hope you paid attention to Ice Cube, and I hope you paid attention to the headlines. And if you listen very closely in his last words, he says, "Where's the bailout?" Now, he also asked a couple other questions that Joe Biden very distinctly, very smugly, and very arrogantly answered. And he not only answered them verbally, but he answered them in printed media as well as on text to ensure that you know that your wishes are going to be completely disrespectfully ignored. And the thing is that people need to understand and pay attention to that. Ice Cube specifically asked, what is going to happen in the first 100 days of a president, regardless of if it's Biden or if it's Trump, in office? He's the only person that I know of, as a matter of fact, who's publicly asked, what kind of agenda are you planning for in the first 100 days? As a result of that request, in that article clip from NBC that I posted, Joe Biden smugly and confidently, after denouncing the involvement of blacks in any greatness or creation of the United States, goes on to slap you in your face by saying, the first thing that he's going to do in the first 100 days is to enact legislation for the LGBT community. Now, here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with everybody having rights. Everybody needs to have civil rights. This is absolutely and 100% correct. However, there is no memorandum that was written to the government to ignore or to benignly neglect any other group of people, regardless if it's race, religion, gender, or creed. So I was watching a video from a YouTube channel called TD Hip Hop, and it was very interesting. It introduced this topic of benign neglect. So I went and I researched it, and you can actually find it. It's on the Nixon Library, and I'll post the links to it in the description box of this video. And I think if you go on my channel, there is a link to the original video where I first encountered this information. So all credit due to that YouTube channel there. In this policy, it creates a fear that was instilled into President Nixon by his advisor, and that fear was the materialization of economic improvement of black people, and that allowing black people to foster and harbor anti-white attitudes that could possibly change the course of the United States. So as a recommendation, the recommendation was given to ignore race issues using benign neglect. Completely neglect an entire population that is within this country because of fear. And again, I will leave a link to this memorandum in the comments. But I'm saying that to say this. There's a saying, and that saying goes, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. Well, none of us have closed mouths because black people have been asking the government for many things for many years. I mean, you could take your pick. You could talk about police. You could talk about economic reform. You can talk about small business. You can talk about neighborhoods. You can talk about a plethora of different issues. And the thing is that as far as when it comes to requesting community assistance, or when it comes to requesting community reinvestment from the government, it's not a racist thing. It's not asking for a handout. Also in this video were posted 2 infusions, actually 4 infusions, 2 to Native Americans, 1 to Holocaust survivors, and then the legislation for the LGBT community that the government either provided or planned on providing. And you ask, well, why is it that when, there's a request for black people to receive some type of infusion, or the black community, it doesn't happen? Well, for one, it doesn't happen because of what was said in that memorandum, the period of benign neglect that is taking place. And another reason that it doesn't happen is because in a lot of situations, there is not a specific plan for what is going to happen, or what the goals are, the benchmarks, objectives, different things like that. Now, I've seen a lot of criticism. I've seen a lot of people criticizing Ice Cube. They've been saying that he's a sellout. I don't believe that Ice Cube is a sellout. That's my strong opinion. I also don't believe that celebrities should be the representatives of an entire community. If you look at every other ethnic group, or if you look at every other community, if a celebrity spoke on behalf of that community, it would kind of look weird, because no one really has any representatives who are not either politicians, or, a legal professional, or a scientist, or, president, or anything like that. Now, the reason why Ice Cube is so unique in this situation, in my opinion, is because he is one of the only people, from what I know, who has actually approached the government. Because I don't want to say he approached President Trump, because that's just not true. Despite the fact that that's the narrative that's being run with, he has cleared that up. And I believe representatives from President Trump's administration have cleared that up. The only people who are saying that Ice Cube came to them and then didn't respond is, of course, the Biden-Harris campaign. A specific, I believe, congressman came out and made a statement and said that Ice Cube turned down a Zoom meeting. But it wasn't an exclusive Zoom meeting with just Ice Cube. It was a Zoom meeting, I believe, with 12 other individuals. Now, here's the thing. I'm not sure if those 12 other individuals actually had a pre-written, quote, business plan or, quote, contract. That's the thing, in my opinion, that makes Ice Cube stand out. That's the thing, in my opinion, that makes Ice Cube different. That's the thing, in my opinion, that makes it probable that President Trump was more willing to explore what Ice Cube put on the table than what other people put on the table, because Ice Cube had a tangible plan. I think the contract for Black America is like 22 pages. So if you go to a bank and you want to get a business loan, or if you go to the government and you want to get a business grant, in order to get those things, you have to present a business plan. And in that business plan, it has to have goals. It has to have objectives. It has to have projected revenues. It has to have projected debts. It has to have business life. It has to have long-term plans and goals, a future, a vision, all of these different things. Now, Ice Cube came with this contract. And when you come up with a contract that's a documented piece of paper, or a document that has specific terms, services, expectations, and goals, at that point, you have a tool that you can use to negotiate. It just so happens that Ice Cube happens to be a celebrity, but he is the one individual that I know of who has actually come to the table with a plan. Now, if this has happened in the future, I don't know. I haven't really been researching this. I'm really just like going into this. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm only speaking of what's going on currently. If any of these kind of things happened in the past, which I'm sure they did, I don't say this to take any credit away from anybody. I'm just speaking again currently of what's going on, and I'm assessing the current situation. So from what I understand, he's one of the first people that came with a contract, something tangible that can be looked at. So allowing the person who's in power, who can actually, review this information and, put terms for bargaining on the table, I don't understand how somebody can call him a sellout. I think that the best thing that people could say is, he has a plan. The plan could probably be tweaked. We have all the time in the world to get it tweaked. So instead of attacking, let's get the people together who could actually make this thing as good and as feasible as it possibly can, and see how far it goes. But instead, what do you see? You see the media attacking him. You got the liberal Hollywood, social media, and sports disinformation complex attacking him and consistently bombarding you with these images and saying that, Ice Cube is supporting Trump and blah, 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 blah. When Ice Cube has come out in numerous videos on Twitter, numerous tweets, Facebook posts, he's been all over the internet as far as interviews, and he's saying, hey, look, man, all I'm doing is shopping this contract around. And the thing is that all these people that promote independent business are showing how phony they are, and they're also showing how little they know. Because if you have a product, it's the same as when you're in the record business. If you have a product, if you have an album, what do? You shop it to the labels. Well, in this case, the labels are the Democrats and the labels are the Republicans. He's shopping his product to the labels. He has no influence or control over who's receptive. And when somebody is receptive, receptiveness shows interest. So when there's interest there, you act. That's how you do a SWOT analysis: is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So where you see a weakness, where people see, they have these certain feelings about Trump, there is a strength in the fact that he was receptive, and now Ice Cube has a way in the door. And that way in the door could also lead to that door being held open to where other people who might actually have, more experience with that kind of thing, people who could actually make the situation stronger, people who could add support, would be able to go in that door behind him. But this is what you have. This is what you see. And then simply because it's terms being made, or, terms being explored by somebody that people don't just accept with open arms, then you have this non-productive double talk of, well, nobody's ever done anything for us. Nobody's ever done anything for us. Well, here's the thing. We need to explore things like benign neglect to see why nothing has ever been done. We need to present those when we hit a roadblock. We can't just sit there and not do anything, because time is ticking. And if you looked at that tweet from Joe Biden that I had in this article, one of his other objectives is to include as many undocumented immigrants into citizenship as he can within his first 100 days of presidency. Now, that may not sound like something very important, but actually it is. Because the thing is that population that is going to be introduced into the citizenship pool here in the United States, not only is that a huge infusion, mathematically, is going to add a ton of people to that segment, but also what it does is adds voting power. And it adds voting power to a group of people who is already increasing and expanding at a faster rate than what we are. So it adds a big bump to that already faster acceleration. So what that means is, by him doing that, it's going to shorten the amount of time that we have to be able to have a political vote. It decreases the time frame that we remain 13%, because as time goes on, it's going to go from 13 to 12 to 11 to 10 to 9 to 8 until we are completely boxed out of being able to have a influential vote to ever get anything done. And once that happens, it's over. Your voice is done. It's silent. So you have to play checkers and not chess. You have to understand how to negotiate. You have to understand how to work within the frame. Everybody likes to reference that movie, The Matrix, with Neo and, the red pill and all of this stuff, right? Well, one thing that Neo was able to do that made him different from everybody else was that he was the one person who was plugged into the Matrix. And while he was plugged into the Matrix, he was able to understand, master, and manipulate the Matrix so that the Matrix worked for him. You didn't hear Neo say, I'm just going to sit this one out and stay plugged in. That wouldn't have done anything. That wouldn't have helped Morpheus get to Zion. That wouldn't have helped him stop the agents. That wouldn't have done anything. The only thing that would have happened would have been that time went on, things progressed, the artificial intelligence got stronger, and humanity would have stayed imprisoned in the Matrix for a lot longer. But Neo was bold. Neo wasn't lazy. Neo learned how to manipulate the Matrix for his own good. And that's what people need to understand. And with that being said, that's the end of this short video. I'm going to come out with a couple other videos. Again, this is just food for thought. Let me know. Give me some thoughts. Drop some comments. It'd be great to hear from you guys. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.